Father, we just thank you for this time. Thank you for each person on the call. We're just so grateful for them. I'm grateful for them being a part of our team. I'm grateful for Audrey and her friendship and just her willingness to be on this call tonight and just teach us some of her wisdom. And we just thank you so much. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Yes, tonight, team, we have the beautiful Audrey Parker, who we just adore, and she is a dear friend of ours, and she's going to pour into you guys. And I'm telling you, anytime I spend any time with Audrey, even 5 or 10 minutes, let alone hours, it changes the course of my business. So what you're going to hear tonight, take notes, get ready to have your Plexus business rocked by Audrey.
Well, thank you, Rachel. It really is an honor to be able to spend some time with this team and to spend some time with you and Shane. So thank you so much for inviting me and letting me bust up your Zoom tonight. So what I wanted to do first was maybe share my story with you and then talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I've been looking at and working on self-development over the past 2 weeks. So let's do my story first. About, I'd say 13 or 14 years ago, I found myself suddenly going through a divorce and trying to meet my financial responsibilities on a single income. I had too much months left at the end of my paycheck, and to replace a tire on my car would send me into financial DEFCON 5. And also during that time, I was diagnosed with severe clinical blues. Since it's being recorded, I'm going to try to be compliant. So we'll call it the blues. But I was sad. It was the kind of sad that required medication sad. And my doctor at the time told me that I would have to take these medications the rest of my life. And I was really overwhelmed with my work and my relationship and what I was going through. I was overwhelmed with my financial situation, even with my relationships with my friends and family. And I kind of checked out. I went into survival mode. And for me, that was get out of bed, show up for work, and don't mess up. I stopped answering my phone. I stopped hanging out with my friends. I stopped going to family functions. I just checked out. And that really describes about a decade of my life. And about 4 years ago, I started seeing some of my college friends posting about Plexus on Facebook. And my knee-jerk reaction was, I'm not selling that stuff. And which is funny to me now because I jumped over, what is it? And should I try it? And I went straight to, I'm not selling it. But obviously God had other plans for me. But, he's working with somebody who's very stubborn. So it took me about a year of watching these guys posting before I even warmed up to the idea of trying it. And I think the thing that flipped the switch in my brain was I saw a post about the Slim, how it's made up of plant-based natural ingredients that can help regulate blood sugar. And both of those things were attractive to me. I was pleasantly surprised that it was made of natural ingredients, but the blood sugar, I've struggled with low blood sugar my entire adult life, from uncontrollable rage to passing out at work and scaring my coworkers. And that kind of hungry, angry feeling that you get that just will not go away no matter how much you eat. Hashtag hangry is what they say. So I decided to give it a shot. And I can tell you where I was, what the weather was like, what I was wearing, where I was going the first day I tried my Plexus Slim, because that's how significant that moment was. Just within a few minutes of drinking my first pink drink, I could tell a difference in my blood sugar. And I remember telling my little sister about 2 weeks later, I said, I don't care how much weight I lose. I don't care if I lose 1 pound. I feel better, and I'm going to make every effort to continue taking this product. So they had me at hello, that first pink drink. So here I am, a happy customer 2.5 months in, and my sponsor, or my ambassador, her name is Celeste. You may have heard of her. I don't know. She gets around. But anyway, she sends me an email and she says, Listen, people are going to start noticing how you look and how you feel, and they're going to start asking questions. And when they do, please send them my way. I would love to share these products with your friends and family. And in those last couple of sentences, she took me from, I'm not selling that stuff, to, well, if they're going to be asking, well, why can't I sell it to them? So 15 days later, as soon as I got paid, I signed up as an ambassador, and I've never looked back. And this summer, I celebrated my 3-year anniversary with Plexus. And in the 3 years, I've lost 33 pounds. I've never felt better. I've never slept better. Also, during this 3-year period, I've learned a lot about gut health and its relationship to the blues, so to speak. And I'm lucky enough to work with a psychiatrist who also believes that there's a strong connection between the two. And I worked very hard that first year, especially, on getting my gut in check. And under his strict supervision, we were able to slowly step down off of those medications that I thought I was going to have to take the rest of my life. And last month, I celebrated 2 years prescription-free. And of all the things that Plexus has brought into my life, that is probably the most significant and the most unexpected. And I'm just so grateful for that victory. I got to trade in my 1999 Honda Accord for a brand new Plexus Lexus. I have earned 2 trips to Hawaii, and I've got to enjoy those with my sisters. And this last trip with Shane and Rachel, I got to resign from my corporate position of 13 years so that I could do this full time. And I get to do this with my friends and family. I get to work with my sisters every single day. And I tell you what, when God puts a gift like that in your lap, that restores your finances, your health, and it gives you an opportunity to work on those relationships that you've damaged so many years ago, you can't help but want to spend the rest of your life sharing it with the people that you love. And that's what I intend to do. So that's my story. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk to you about some things that I've been looking at this week. I've been studying the subject of commitment. And there's been a lot of self-reflection, a lot of me taking a critical look at my own commitments, my own priorities, my own time management. And you could say that there might be a possible breakdown that has happened in the past week or so. And hopefully possibly a breakthrough. But that's the thing about self-development, is it's uncomfortable. It is not easy to look at the stuff that you're not doing well and to own it, and then to circle back around and come up with an action plan to improve. It can be downright painful. In fact, somebody told me once, when it comes to self-development, if it's not uncomfortable, you're not doing it right. So I think this past week I nailed it in terms of discomfort. It wasn't pretty. But so tonight, as I go through my notes, everything that I am speaking directly to me. And my hope is that you'll find something on the topic that will be useful for you. So when we look at our business, it's actually pretty simple. Our business, it's not easy, but it's pretty simple. It doesn't require a PhD or an MBA. Anybody can develop the skills necessary to do this business. When you boil it down to brass tacks, it comes down to marketing our products, giving great customer service, expanding our networks and meeting new people, inviting them to join us, and then training and supporting those who choose to do so. It's simple, but it's not easy. The hard part about this business is the emotional aspect. And anybody who's truly working this business is going to experience that emotional roller coaster. A couple of years ago, I went to a diamond panel, And the moderator asked Melissa Eichenhorst a question. I don't even remember what the question was, but she got up and in 3 minutes described perfectly that emotional roller coaster that is this business, from starting the products and really feeling better and then deciding, I think I can do this, and getting that welcome packet, throwing it open and starting to dream about financial freedom and health freedom and time freedom. And then you start getting a customer or two. And then all of a sudden they start asking questions that you don't feel equipped to answer. And you sort of muddle through it. And then you get an ambassador or two. And then somebody drops off. She described perfectly the victories and the defeats, the highs and the lows of this business. But what she landed on at the end of those 3 minutes was a belief and commitment. And those who have reached the top of this company have learned how to manage that emotional aspect. They're managing what's going on between their ears. They're managing the disappointment and the frustration. And what you do with that disappointment, how you frame that in your mind, how you react to it is going to have a direct impact of the success or failure of what you're trying to accomplish. It's during those low points that two things are going to happen. Either it's going to push you into growth and learning, or those low points will defeat you and cause you to give up. And the difference between those two outcomes is belief and commitment. I can't speak for the top earners and how they manage the emotional roller coaster, but when I am disappointed or discouraged, I'm not going to beat myself up for feeling that emotion, because we're emotional beings. It's who we are. It's part of our makeup. And honestly, without those lows, the high points wouldn't be so sweet. So yeah, I allow myself to experience that emotion, but I do not give myself permission to live there. I'm not going to build a campfire and pitch a tent and live in disappointment. If I'm disappointed or discouraged about something today, and 8 days from now, I'm still disappointed, I'm not managing that emotion. That emotion is managing me. And we have a choice. We can choose to move forward. And I choose to do that. I choose not to give up. I choose to move forward. But the way that we do that is we got to get our brain moving first. And so I ask myself a series of questions. And that, like, what is my next best step? How can I overcome this obstacle? What am I supposed to be learning from this experience? Where do I need to self-correct? And when I start to answer these questions, it gets my brain into forward momentum. And then I don't really have time to be disappointed, because I'm formulating a plan. I'm on the verge of taking action, and I feel better. So a person who does not have a strong belief in themselves, a person who has not identified their why, a person without commitment is not going to move forward. So we have to tap into our belief and our commitment, because that's what gets us through those tough times. With belief and commitment, our leaders and our top earners have written about, and they've made countless videos on the subject of building belief. But I think that there's a part of the equation that we don't hear that much about, and that is commitment. And here's the equation and how it works in my mind. Success is the final outcome, and success comes from action. Action comes from our commitment, and commitment comes from belief. So how do you build belief? I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about building belief, because there's a lot of stuff out there. And I would bet my last nickel that Rachel has done a video on building belief. She's probably had people on Zoom calls talking about building belief, but it's something that you have to own. You have to build your own belief. Your upline, your downline, your sidelines cannot do it for you. You've got to have belief in our products. You have to build belief in our comp plan, in our company, in our executives, and in our industry. And there's lots of things that you can do to build belief. but belief without commitment will kill your business. I think that you can believe in our products and not have a commitment to take them every single day. I think that you can have belief in this amazing business opportunity and not have the commitment to do what we need to do every day to be successful in the business. And so I think that's why it's so important that we understand that commitment has to be a part of the equation. So that's what I want to talk about tonight, is commitment. So if you're a note taker, I want you to write down this first statement. Commitment shows up in your life through action. Commitment shows up in your life through action. You can tell the difference between people who are committed and those who don't feel worthy or don't have belief in themselves. People who are committed are busy doing it. They're in there. They're making it happen. They're mixing it up. People who don't feel worthy remind me of this gal that I read about last week. She was presented an opportunity very similar to ours, but her response to the opportunity was, I'd sure like to do what you're doing, but my company takes good care of me. And it was that last little bit there, that my company takes good care of me, that I could relate to. Because when I thought back to my 13 years in my corporate environment, I thought the same thing. My company takes good care of me. The problem with that thinking is it's not forward thinking. It's as if my brain was wearing concrete boots. A person with a sense of worthiness is not looking to be taken care of. In fact, it's just the opposite. They're looking to do more, to be more, to contribute more. They're looking for ways in which they can help others see their own sense of worthiness. So back to this gal that I was reading about, her attitude, her vision of herself, her sense of deservingness says, I can't have that. And so she'll fabricate all kinds of reasons for why she can't have it. Robert Anthony says you can have only one of two things in life, reasons or results, and reasons don't count. It's heavy stuff, right? Folks will always have reasons for why they're not living their dreams, why they're not reaching their full potential. But reasons or excuses, if you want to change out the word, those things don't count. The only thing that counts is results, and results happen through action. If you don't like the results that you're getting, you have to look at the actions. Actions equal results. Les Brown says, judge a tree by the fruit that it bears, not by the fruit that it talks about, not by the fruit that it may wish for or think about, but the fruit that it actually bears. And many of us are producing a level of fruit in our lives that we don't particularly like. I believe that we're all committed. I think that either we're committed to greatness or we're committed to mediocrity. We're committed to being happy or we're committed to being unhappy. We're committed to being productive or we're committed to being unproductive. I can think of points in my life where I was really committed to being unproductive. I worked harder at being unproductive than actually what it would have taken me to get the job done in the first place. You know somebody like that? Well, if you know me, then you know somebody like that. I was pretty successful at being unproductive. But I believe that whatever it is that I'm doing, however I spend my time, the actions that I take, that tells me what I'm committed to. And when I reflect on how I use my time and my action, I don't always like what I see. And that's when it's time to get out the Sharpie. Start marking some things off my list that are not pushing me in the direction of my goals. Start moving some things down the list and spend less time on them. And then there's some things that have to move straight to the top, that have to be made a priority. First things first kind of thing. So how we spend our time shows us what's important to us. And what we spend our time on may or may not necessarily be pushing us towards our goals and dreams. People say, I want to be better, but you don't see them upgrading their skills and their knowledge. You hear people say, I want to live a healthy lifestyle, as they stuff a donut in their mouth and chase it with a pack of peanut M&Ms. You don't have to listen to what people say. You just watch what they do. Actions show that level of commitment. And we have a choice in the matter. We can make the commitment to ourselves that we don't like the results that we have, that we're going to do something about it. We have the power within us to look at our life and to commit to something better. Why is it that people are frightened by commitment? That word commitment intimidates a lot of people. Why is that? It's because it means we have to deliver. Commitment means results required. You may ask me, Audrey, I'd like you to do this. And I say, oh, well, I'll try. Well, what that really means is that I'm giving myself an escape clause for when I don't come through. Or maybe I don't have the courage to tell you no, so I'll tell you, oh, I'll try. Either I will or I won't. Either I'm going to do it or I don't. But I use this language all the time. I'll try. We'll see. I might be there. This is the language of the uncommitted. And when I use this language, I'm placing a roadblock in my path. I'm giving myself permission that any excuse is acceptable. And we know that reasons, excuses, they don't count. When it's all said and done, the things at the end of our lives, the things that we regret the most are the things that we didn't go after. Commitment means no excuse is acceptable. I'm quoting a lot of Les Brown tonight, but he's my spirit animal right now. He's getting to the heart of it for me. But he says, if it's hard, then do it hard. If it's difficult, then make it work. If it's inconvenient, so what? You see, there might have been people tonight who made a commitment to be here for this call, and something came up, and so they decided to give up on that commitment. And that's what we do with our big dreams. Something comes up, and we don't honor our commitments to ourselves. And here's what happens when we don't keep our commitments. It begins to deplete our self-esteem. It erodes our self-image. It weakens our faith in ourselves. We don't feel good when we don't keep our commitments. We begin to develop weak relationships with people. People begin to realize that they can't depend on us, they can't rely on us because we don't keep our word. And we establish this type of reputation. But just think, what would our life be like if we kept our commitments? If we do the things that we say we're going to do, that we wouldn't even speak it unless we were going to do it? What if we just break it down to 7 days, 1 week? What would our life be like? In 7 days, at the end of those 7 days, you would feel strong and powerful by honoring those commitments. Each time we exercise that discipline to honor our commitments, that empowers us. And when we keep our commitments, we're able to produce different results in our lives. And results are what matters. So how do we keep our commitments? And will we keep all of our commitments? No, not 100%. We're human beings after all. But exercising that discipline, we have a greater percentage rate of maintaining commitments, whatever those might be. All of us have the potential to improve that percentage rate by focusing our attention and really concentrating on it. We have the power to honor those commitments. So I want to talk to you about 4 points on how we can begin to look at keeping our commitments. The first one is make it a priority. I've heard a story that no one would ever get on an airplane if they thought the chances of getting to their destination was as good as their luggage, right? See, the reason you will reach your destination more times than your luggage is because the airline has made it a priority to move the human being from point A to point B safely. Luggage is secondary. And I got to say, I appreciate that. I do. So when we're looking at our commitments and making them a priority, we got to make them a human priority, not a luggage priority. So whatever we decide to do, keep it before you. Get out that Sharpie and move it to the top of your list. Number 2 is create discipline. Create action steps that move you in the direction of your goals. steps that challenge you and strengthen you, but steps that are doable, something that is manageable, that you can do every day, and then slowly begin to build on it. Remember, action shows commitment. So start a log, track your performance. The things that we measure are the things that become important to us. Number 3 is establish accountability. Find a power partner. Get that friend that holds your feet to the fire, that won't let you off the hook, the one that won't tolerate anything less than the very, very best from you. And the 4th is to have a backup plan. See, a lot of times we make a commitment to do something, and then there's these unexpected variables that take place. They're kind of out of our control. Things that we don't think of. So we have to be creative. Most people won't keep their commitments because something went wrong. They just stop. They don't have a contingency plan. They don't know what to do next. So be creative. Challenge yourself. You hear yourself say, I don't know what to do. Ask yourself, Audrey, if you did know what to do, what would it be? And what this does is it activates a different part of your brain. You start problem solving and brainstorming, and it takes you out of panic mode and puts you into solution mode. But we just stop dead in our tracks. We don't know what to do. But you do know what to do. You have brilliance within you. I've been on this team page of Passion for Plexus for 1 year, and I've seen the brilliance of this team. And I know that you have it. So challenge yourself, push yourself, make yourself come up with something, use your imagination. And what you'll find is that you know more than you realize, that you're more creative and more resourceful than you've ever given yourself credit. And the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. Exercising that discipline of creativity and resourcefulness. And one day you'll ask yourself, how have I not ever seen this before? And it's because you didn't challenge yourself before. You see, the reason most of us go through life never discovering our true greatness is because we've never challenged ourselves to keep those commitments. We are living uncommitted lives. And an uncommitted life doesn't produce results. You only make things count. You only make a difference when you're committed. And it's an interesting thing, when you back your commitments through action, you move into a different zone. Your tone of voice changes. Your posture is different. Why? Because you're empowered. Your environment responds differently to a person that refuses to be denied. You have the power to go after whatever you want, but you have got to be willing to face disappointments and not having support and being lonely and doubting yourself sometimes and being rejected again and again, and refuse to back down until you accomplish your dream. Nothing can resist a person who has that kind of commitment. So don't short circuit your dreams with anger and fear and envy and laziness, or by simply giving up. Bob Hellig says commitment means doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you. He's talking about action, doing it when you don't feel like doing it. Commitment means honoring your word, standing up for your life's dreams, recognizing that you're valuable and that you have something to contribute, that you're worthy. There's nothing more powerful as a human spirit that has made a true commitment. So my call to action to you tonight is to identify that dream that you're not willing to give up. Whatever it might be, whatever it is, take action. Make it a priority. Establish daily discipline. Identify that accountability partner and get creative. Challenge yourself. Have a contingency plan when things don't go your way. But most important of all, don't give up. So I want to thank you guys for your time and your attention tonight, and for putting action behind your commitment to be here. Thank you, Rachel and Shane, for inviting me. I'm going to give the floor back to you and let you close us out.
How many notes did we just take?
Audrey, you're awesome.
Audrey, look. Page. Did I not tell y'all how incredible Audrey is? Anyone else feel like they need to go back and watch this again because they didn't get all the notes right? I know y'all are nodding your head. Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Audrey. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and then open it up for questions. Thank you. You're amazing. Like, mind blown.